Hey everyone, thank you for being here. My name's Brian.
Hi, my name is Kanika.
And my name is Chan. We're here to present Arcade Days, our application that hosts games. Our purpose was to create a this was to make retro games more accessible for the next generation, while also adding new ones. Some of the frameworks we used was JavaScript, Java, CSS, HTML, Maven, Spring Boot, amongst many others. As you can see here is our login page. There's no input for username, password, so that will return, please enter both username and password. If there's an incorrect username and password, it should return error invalid username and password. Therefore, the user will sign up and that will bring them to our homepage. In our homepage, we have our nav bar, which will remember the user's username. It also has our homepage, our home, our about, and our logout. In the body, we have Arcade Days, the title of our application, and we have a carousel holding our games. You'll see here if you click the scroll button, it'll move to the left and it'll move to the right. Today we'll be presenting three games. The first game will be Mole Smash, and then we'll be presenting Pong, and then Dice Game. So I'll give it to Brian to present our first game, Super Mole Smash.
All right, so today I'll be demonstrating our interactive game, Super Mole Smash. The object of the game is to smash as many moles as you can within 2 minutes. Do not hit the monsters. Moles give you 1 point, and monsters subtract 2 points from your score. So this game utilizes several interesting technical features such as motion tracking, collision detection, and real-time data handling. So let's dive into how these components work together to create a seamless gaming experience. So as far as the motion tracking goes, uh, the motion tracking tracks the mouse movement and it updates the mallet's position and dynamically renders and controls the mallet image. There's also random number generation being utilized in this game. Um, with the random number generation, it determines which hole a mole or a monster will appear in. This is done by generating a random index corresponding to one of the holes on the game board. And in addition to randomizing the character's position, the game also randomizes the character, whether it be a mole or a monster. This makes it so the player can't predict where the monster or mole will appear. And this is achieved by generating a random Boolean value. If the value is true, a mole appears. If false, a monster appears. So there's also hit detection in the game. When the player clicks the mouse, it checks for collisions between the hammer and the active mole or monster. This is done by calculating the distance between the hammer center and the character center, comparing it to their combined radii to determine a hit. And whether the player hits a mole or a monster, the back end updates the score accordingly, and the front end provides the visual feedback, as you can see on the scoreboard right there. So another game in our application is Pong, and Konica will be presenting that.
Hi, everybody. Today I'd like to introduce you to our phone game. The project also includes several key features, such as responsive paddle movement, local multiplayer functions, scorekeeping, and overlap elements. To kind of dive further into those key features, the paddle controls are optimized within the game container to ensure a smooth gaming experience for each and every player. As well as with the local multiplayer function, we implemented key binding configurations to make that a little bit easier as well on the player controls. And as you can see, if player one or player two scores, it includes real-time scorekeeping that updates based on the game events. And then for overlap elements, to ensure the elements like the paddles and the ball don't overlap, we implemented collision detection to manage the interactions between them. Now we can go ahead and explore the next game, which introduces its own unique features and creative designs for our project, which Chen will go ahead and show us.
The last game we'll be demoing is our Dice Game. Unlike the other two, Dice Game isn't really a retro game or a classic game, but it's inspired by the simplicity of old dice games. As you can see here, if we click Show Rules, it'll pop up, and the goal is to reach 100 points to win the game. We also added some logic Consecutive numbers will give you the sum of the numbers added to your score. And then two of a kind will give you the sum of those two numbers. Three of a kind will give you three times the number. And all odd numbers will give you +1. And then all evens will give you +2. As you can see here, when you click roll dice, it'll generate a GIF and it'll also change the faces of the dice and above. So two of a kind, two sixes will give you the sum of those two numbers, and all evens will give you +2. And the rounds will also increase by each roll. We also implemented a cheat code function where you can input a code and it will update your score to 99. So that means Jack finished the rounds in 3. Overall, we also had issues with our programming, and Kanaka will go into more details with that.
Thank you, Chan. Moving on to our group's web application, we did face a few technical challenges. One of them with being in the sign up and login creation. What we found ended up working for us was we used cookies for our session management and implemented Spring Security to enable a secure login and sign up process. One of the other challenges that we faced was with the uniform theme and consistency. So we ensured a responsive layout that adapts with the key elements in the game, like the score consistently positioned. We also encountered CSS shifting issues for each of our games, which affected the positioning, but we resolved them with utilizing the browser's inspect element tool to help kind of analyze and isolate the problematic styles. And then occasionally we did also compare the CSS styles to help with our outlines. We also followed a specific and meaningful naming convention for our classes and methods since it was a team project and there was more than one game. So with doing that, it enhanced the code readability, and we also utilized agile methodologies. We also regularly merged branches with the main repository, and we addressed our conflicts with our merges during our daily meetings. And for issues that we couldn't resolve, we sought outside help with our instructors. Despite the challenges, though, we were able to work seamlessly as a group, which Brian will go ahead and further explain.
Yeah, thanks, Kanika. So as far as the team collaboration and project management went, we implemented the agile methodologies. So we used what's called a Kanban board, and you create stories, which are tasks, and you assign each person a story. And then in real time, we can see what needs to be worked on, what's in the process of being worked on, what is up for us to review before we merge it into the main. And then once that's all done, we move into the done section. So that just allowed us to really stay on the same page, whether we're all on at the same time or not. And we also assigned meeting times every day, most days. And Chan is on the West Coast, so he's 3 hours behind Kanika and I. So we had to figure out times that worked best for all of us. And a lot of our games had at least little bits of very similar code, and we were able to help each other out on those because one of us would already be familiar with a piece of our code. And if somebody was struggling with something similar, we'd really be able to jump in and help them out in that situation. With that all being said, there are some future enhancements we would like to implement into the game, or into the app, sorry. We'd like to focus on mobile development for the app, so it's accessible to more users. Right now, it's only a web application. We would also like to include an online multiplayer mode that would feature an online friends list, group chat and direct messaging, and also a feature where you can challenge your friends by generating an invitation link that you could either send to them through social media, text, or email, or a feature where you could just challenge an existing user from directly within the application. We would also like to implement score sharing, where you can generate a badge or emblem and you can share your achievements in the games via social media. As far as the homepage goes, we'd like to add a search window where you can search for games or users. We'd also like to add a feature game and future projects banner, so people can see the newest popular game, see what projects are, what games are going to be added in the future. And we'd also like to add music for the homepage and music and sound effects for the games. I play synthesizers and have a little recording studio at home, so we'd be able to implement that. And yeah, so as far as future enhancements for the games themselves, I'm going to let Chan go into that part.
Specific to the games, we would love to add more levels to our Alien Jump, our Mole Smash, basically our more arcade-like games. We'd like to add variations of speed to games like Pong and difficulty levels for all the games. We like to add reviews, ratings for the games, and for the user, we like to add trophy badges for achievements. We like to add coins or points to our luck-based games like rock, paper, scissors or dice. Um, Overall, we like to add more diverse games. That will also add categories to our games so that it will be easier for the user to search for the games. Next, I would like to show you our about page. Here, when you hover over each of our cards, you'll see a little bit about ourselves, our experiences, and who we are. In addition to that, we also have links to our socials for our GitHub or LinkedIn. And lastly, I'd like to say thank you for listening to us, and we hope you enjoyed our project.